really started to find out who I truly was when I lost two of the biggest parts of my life. My name is Warren Dean. Some of you may know me from my time in media across Western Canada, and some of you may not know who I am. So, this is me. I was born in 1977, that makes me 48 years old. Generation X. That's one of the best generations. I know everybody thinks their generation is one of the best generations, but this one was special because it was a bridge generation, right? We had an analog childhood and a digital adulthood. Yeah, I know how to fix a cassette with a pencil. I know what a cassette is. We used to play outside until the streetlights came on. The rumors are true. We built forts, and yes, somebody's dad's Playboys made it in there. And now those boobies are on the phone. Not that I know anything about that. We would play outside a lot and not be distracted by technology. But then, as we matured, so did technology, and we kind of got the best of both worlds. Although our childhood was great, and we missed those simple times, there was something missing. We didn't really talk about ourselves. We didn't talk about our thoughts and our emotions, what we were going through. Not honestly, and not openly. Throughout my adult years, I've had phases of self-reflection, and I've constantly worked on myself. I think growing and trying to become better is very important. You know, after all, you're with yourself for the rest of your life 24/7, so you better be happy with who you are. So I always try that. And the thing I have realized out of that, being open and being honest, it's not weakness. A lot of people see that as a negative and that you shouldn't be doing that. But I found that it makes you stronger, and it allows you to let go of a lot. And once you let go and become stronger, you enjoy life a lot more. You enjoy the daily things. You start to change. We all have wounds and scars and baggage that we carry with us throughout life. And, you know, we take that into relationships, and we take that into careers and friendships and basically every aspect of life. Your bag keeps filling up. And that bag gets heavier and heavier, and you slow down. And sometimes you outright stop. You just stop living and stop moving. Once you start unpacking that baggage, what happens? It gets lighter, right? And you can move more, and you can be faster and quicker, and it just releases everything. And obviously, it's not easy. It's a constant thing, and it does take work. But once you get there, this is what really helps you to change, and then it ends up helping you flourish throughout life. I've always done things to try and continue the work, whether it was meditation or journaling, seeing a therapist, talking to friends, whatever it is. And it was this last big, I guess, pivot or happenings in my life that really changed things for me and really got me to a place where I do feel like I've let go of so much, and I have become much better. And the things that were really always kind of stubborn that I could work on, they would never change, or they didn't change as much as I wanted them to. Those have now changed, and I'm in a much better place with them. And those two big losses that kicked this whole process off were, number one, losing my career. 26 years in broadcast media. I loved it, was very good at it. And it was not a big shock when I lost it, because we knew it was coming, but it was a big loss if I realized that it was gone. And I also lost a relationship. I was engaged to a wonderful woman, and, you know, two of those things happening at the same time was big. It was tough. And with that, I ended up losing myself. I lost two identities. I lost Warren, the weather guy, and I lost Warren, the fiance. And I was in a relationship where I thought that was going to be the last one. I didn't know who I was. Who am I now? I'm not either of those things. What's going on? So that was really, really hard. And I loved my career. I loved being in media. It was creative and it was fun and it fulfilled me. I remember sitting on my floor as a kid and pretending to do radio stuff. I think a lot of us did that, but I was able to follow through and make a career out of it. And, you know, a big part of that was also the connection with people and communities. And sometimes you were part of something bigger, charity events and just helping people. And even though you're a smaller part of something bigger, it's still very fulfilling because you're a part of it. And even being able to help out a little bit was huge. And I was also very happy being engaged because I didn't want to date anymore. I wanted to find this woman, and I thought I found this woman, the woman. And I was very happy with her. And she's amazing and checked off a lot of boxes. I thought we'd start a family together, which I'd always wanted. We could learn and grow together and just slide into old age together. Now, there were things that were there that maybe I ignored or maybe didn't work on as soon as I should have. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I see it. And we're going to get into all of that. There's reasons why that relationship didn't work out. That's for probably the next episode. We're going to concentrate more on the career. Again, losing those two biggest parts of who I was, not the weather guy, not in a relationship. Basically, at this point, I'm Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, the GIF, where he's looking around the living room going, what, where, what, what's going on? So I needed to pivot and I needed to figure out who I was moving forward without these things. That identity, those things I was kind of holding on to, it was gone. And I didn't have those anymore. So I needed to find out who I was now. One of the questions I asked myself and a few friends when I was thinking about starting this series was, who cares what I have to say? Who am I? In the big scheme of things, who am I? And who would care what I have to say? And it's a valid question. And maybe you don't care, and that's okay. But here's why I moved forward with this. And it goes back to an incident with one of my uncles. When I was in my late 20s, I was out in Victoria visiting. My mom called and said, your uncle's missing. And I've never gotten a call like that. I had no idea. Like, did you lose him in the mall, in the store? But what had happened was he was struggling silently, struggling by himself. And he went out to one of his pastures and he was going to do something bad. And, they found him. That's the good news. They got him to a hospital. And I got home. My mom and I were going to visit him. And I told my mom, this is good. It's great that he's in a spot where he can get looked after and talk to people. I've done therapy. It's good. It's a good thing. And that generation, right? That's not what they did. They didn't go to therapy. They didn't talk about their feelings or their thoughts or what was going on. My mom said, well, you should tell him that. And I wasn't sure because, I was still his little nephew. You always think of yourself as little kids, right? Or especially around family members when you're growing up, right? So I wasn't sure. We got in the room and Uncle was down. He wouldn't, no eye contact, looking down, embarrassed, humiliated, feeling really bad. All fair feelings for that circumstance. My mom pulled I'm going to go get coffee. Anybody want anything? I'm gone. And she's like, do the thing. You talk to him. So I did. When she left, I said, Uncle, it's really good you're here. It's great that you're here, that you can get the help that you need and talk to people. And he was like, oh, yeah. And still, looking away, looking down. And I said, I've been to therapy and I found it really useful. It's really helped me. And right there, his mood changed. And he looked me in the eye and he said, really? And you could tell that his demeanor changed because he was heard. He felt seen. He knew that he wasn't the only one. He wasn't alone. Other people have dealt with this kind of thing and have reached out to get help. That's not weakness. It helps. And that was the first time I had a true connection after sharing something so personal. And it really didn't hit me until a few years later, because I didn't appreciate it at the time. But down the road I did. And I realized how powerful that can be, how much it means to somebody to share. Because you're not alone. We all have things. And if you reach out, which can be the biggest hurdle, but if you reach out and just take that first step, it can help you get you over that hurdle and get you to the other side and off and running, and you can pass it on to somebody else. So let's expand on the loss of my career. And we're going to focus on that for this episode. Relationship stuff will come in an upcoming episode. We knew the end was near. A lot of us in the media landscape, we knew things were changing. We knew that there was going to be more cuts. They were happening more frequently. They were bigger. As long as the executives were getting their bonuses, they were going to keep cutting, doing less with more so they could pad their wallets. And the people that were passionate about our careers, we just got sent away, permanent vacations. And while I was trying to go out on my terms, I'd already, decided I'm going to look for a new career, and that's what I really wanted, was to go out on my terms. I didn't want somebody else to determine when I left, but that's what happened. And that's what really hurt. We all want to go out on our terms for a career that we've invested our lives into, and our heart and our emotions and all those things. I wanted the chance to say goodbye to co-workers and the audience and people in the community. I wanted to say my piece to them and say thank you as well. And we didn't get the chance to do that, a lot of us. And that continues to this day. And then I had to say goodbye to Warren, the weather guy. It's a grieving process, right? A big piece of me was gone. Even though I've always struggled with being the weather guy. Hey, it's the weather guy. Now, I always appreciated that people cared enough or even paid attention enough to know who I was. It always made me completely uncomfortable. So I apologize if I was awkward in public ever. But, we're more than our jobs. Now, I've learned to appreciate it now, but we're onions. We all have layers, right? By the way, onions are just the worst. I've never liked onions. I hate onions. My mom used to try and slip onions into everything. And then she would say, when I'd found out, I'd be like, there's onions in here. She'd be like, you can't even taste them. And I'm like, how did I know they were here, Susan? Huh? How did I know? I never called my mom Susan, but that is her name. Point is, we're all yucky onions. We all have layers, right? We're more than our jobs. I was a wannabe musician. I liked music and writing and movies. I liked being creative. I was a painter. I was a recreational athlete. I was a swimmer. Actually, more of a sinker. Nonetheless, I was more things. But when people only see one layer of you, that's all they're going to know, unless you share more. Growth. See how that works right there. So the more we share, the more they know. And that's not a bad thing. So I did learn to accept it and appreciate it. When I look back, I'm very proud of what I did in my career. And I feel like I was at the top of my game when I left, especially in the last 7 years, I was at the top of my game. But what came after, grief, and then what now? You get scared because what am I going to do now? We're kind of like Liam Neeson in Taken. I have a particular set of skills. Now, trust me, if your daughter gets taken, don't call me. I can't get her back. I will be able to tell you what the weather was when she got taken. Like, it was 16 degrees, it was sunny, wind out of the northeast at 35 when she got thrown into the back of that van blindfolded. But I won't be able to get her back. So I'm sitting there going, I have nothing but media skills. What am I going to do with this? This is a very niche set of skills that I have. And it was because so many of us were going through the same things at the same time, it really helped. Again, it was about connecting with others, talking about it, being open and honest, and realizing that we did have a lot to offer in a different way. whether it was PR or communications, writing, a ton of things transferred. And it only took me a couple months to land a job, and others not so fast. So that was tough. But again, they had other people to rely on, and we could help each other out. So then I was on to this new career. So one thing kind of taken care of. But what I realized a little while in was that it didn't fill me with the same type of fulfillment or excitement. It just wasn't the same, right? And it's tough to capture something you're passionate about, whether it's glass blowing or plumbing, being an electrician, what have you. It's hard when you're passionate about something. So then will I ever find that again? And where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to be doing? What is going on? So what this did do is it opened me up to something different. And it was taking the good parts of an old career, letting go of the bad parts, and pivoting. And this is where I really started to look at what makes me tick, right? What career is going to fill me? What do I need out of a job or a career that's going to make me happy at the end of the day? I can put my head down and be proud. And of course, while I'm trying to figure this all out, my relationship's also ending. So it's kind of dealing with that double whammy, personal and professional. So there was nothing to anchor to. There was no balance. There was kind of lost in every sense. I just had nothing to grasp onto. And I did go a little bit downhill. It was really tough. And not being able to latch on to anything, it made me sad and mad and confused. I was humiliated. It was humbling. And then you feel like a failure. It's just a bunch of negativity. And, I started talking to a therapist, and she was great. She had a lot of the same things happen in her life that I had. So that really helped. So if you're going to do therapy, do your research, find a therapist that really works for you, and don't be afraid to change therapists. It's my advice on that one. But one of the things that happened was that I realized that I wasn't looking myself in the eye in the mirror. I could look in the mirror, I could comb my hair, brush my teeth, whatever, but I wasn't looking myself in the eye because I didn't like who I was. A lot of things that were happening in the past built up, and I didn't like who I'd become. I didn't like who I was. I was negative, all those bad emotions. But that was also a turning point. Once I realized that, things really started to kind of click and really helped me start digging down and healing and letting go. And I looked way back. It wasn't about the job loss. It wasn't about this relationship lost. It was about who I have been through my life, how I have acted, how I have reacted, my behaviors that have all developed through the years and brought me to this moment. And I could now go backwards and work on those and really dig in. And what I found was, a big one was self-esteem or lack thereof, me not trusting, being defensive because of that lack of trust, and throughout, again, my whole life. And as I talk about it now, when you have those moments in the shower where you remember something from when you were like 8 and it was really embarrassing, you're like, oh my God, why is this still... I look back on some of these things and I laugh because I'm like, oh my God, why was I like that? Why did I react that way? And it was able to, help me tear myself down to the studs, complete remodel, and build myself back up. Now, I do want to say something here at this point. I have the luxury of time. I was a single guy. I don't have family here. I didn't adopt my dog yet. I have a small group of friends. I had a whole bunch of time to be 100% selfish. And it's not lost on me that a lot of people do not have that. I get that. I could really sit and work on this. I could write. I could go on hikes. But I do want you to think about making time for yourself. It's important. It's hard when you don't have time, when there's an issue and there's an issue and you want to work on it and you can't. And I ran into that with my relationship. We were working on us. We were working on her, and I wasn't able to work on me. She called me out on a lot of my stuff, and rightfully so. And I wanted to fix it, and I wanted to be a better man for her, but I didn't have enough time. And that's what I now had, was this luxury, and it was a luxury of time. So I could read and meditate and go for those walks and hikes and write and have anxiety attacks and cry and really break down. So every day I'd think and review moments in my life and ask why. Why did I do this? Why did this happen? Why did I react that way? Am I doing this on repeat? Is this, repetitive behavior that I'm doing? Just a lot of why. So a couple of things, and a couple of the biggest takeaways that I learned were, I needed to forgive myself for a lot. I'm very hard on myself. I always have been, and I've been way better at that this last little while. Those moments are gone. You can't take them back. You can learn from them. You can hopefully not repeat them, but you can't get them back. So you've got to let them go. And I'm not absolving myself of responsibility. The things I did were a lot of my fault, but I was taking accountability for them. And that helped me let go of it, right? I was carrying that baggage, you lighten the load, and there you go. Then I figured out a couple of things that really have stuck with me. One is trust issues. I trust too early. I trust people too early. I don't take time to see if they're trustworthy. I just give it to them. And then when they break it, I get hurt. I take that personally. I'm devastated. Then that happens on repeat, and it's my fault because I'm giving it to them too early, giving them the power. But then it made me be standoffish, and it made me scared to let my guard down. It made me scared to trust anybody. And then sometimes I was a dick, right? Especially career-wise. Trust in media is tough. You're always looking over your shoulder, and I could be a dick. Now, sometimes people deserved it, but a lot of times they didn't. And I've learned that. But you keep people at a distance, right? You be something you don't really want to be, they can't hurt you. Now, when I was a dick, I'd beat myself up and feel terrible about it. I'd go home and really beat myself up about it because I was embarrassed and ask myself why. But I've learned to let that go, and you have to. The other big takeaway, and it's something I realized recently while I was working on this project and putting things together. I always go into things with a goal, and that's great. You should have goals. You should have things you want to achieve. But what I do is concentrate too much on the goal and the end result. And I wouldn't allow myself to let the journey happen organically. It was always about the goal. And if it didn't happen on my timeline or fast enough or the way I thought it should, I'd get angry or frustrated. And then I get mad at myself for being frustrated. And I wasn't living in the what's next. I was living in what's next and not what's now. You got to live in what's now. And those realizations of that trust and focusing the wrong way on the goal help me realize what I want out of a career, out of relationships. And that goes from, relationships, intimate relationships and friendships and family relationships. And it's helping rewire my habits as well. How I approach things, how I think about things, and I'm living lighter. It's really freeing. Being frustrated and angry all the time and beating myself up and all these negative emotions. It's heavy and it's exhausting. Always so tiring. I enjoy things a lot more these days. I really do. And when I take the dog out for a walk, I look around a little bit more. I take more pauses because that's important. So with that, I want you to try and pause as much as you can and look at what's in front of you and your partner, your family, your dog, your kids, nature, whatever it is that brings you joy. Be there. Be in the present and take it in. This series isn't just about me. We all have things we're going through during our lives, whether it's career or relationships or just dealing with daily stuff. It's not easy these days. This series is about connection, and I want to connect with you. I've set up this email, weatheringit365@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out. You can ask for advice. You can share your story, and maybe I'll share it here if you want me to do that. Maybe there's questions you have about myself or about my situation, or maybe we just want to chat a little bit and sort things through together. That's what it's about. It's about that connection. So hit up the email, weatheringit365@gmail.com. It's for everybody, men, women, young, old. You can give me some of your advice as well. You can give me some constructive criticism. The point is, when you're going through things like we all go through at different times, it's better to do it together because you're not alone and you're not the only one going through it. You don't have to do it by yourself. So how we're going to end this series, and I'm going to try and do this each and every time I might run out of material, and that's again where you can help me out and you can send me some of your recommendations as well at the email. But I'm going to give you a couple of books and a record that really helped me through not only the tough times, but times when things are good too. That's one thing you always kind of want to do is when things are good, go back and read a book that got you through the tough times or listen to an album. You'll appreciate it on a different level. So books, this is Mark Manson, right? His 2 books. So The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F and Everything is Effed. So 2 great books. The first one, this is the first one. These are both New York Times bestsellers. The first one, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. We only have so many Fs to give, right? And make sure that you give them to the right place. But it's just a great read. I think he's a fantastic writer. The second book is more about hope and latching onto that, or even when things are really, really good, we need something to be hopeful for, and we can make things up and maybe get angry about things we really don't have to get angry about and make a problem where there maybe necessarily isn't one. So 2 great books there. You can find them at your bookstore. Buy used books too. Books can add up, right? So if you buy a used one, sometimes there's people's notes in there, and that kind of helps as well. And albums. Tom Petty, Full Moon Fever. Tom Petty is one of my favorite all-time artists. I miss that he's not here and producing new music, but of course, that's what's wonderful about artists. Their legacy stays. This album, I think I've had 2 CDs and now an album. I bought a record player a few years ago, and it's just been one of the best investments ever. So there's just a couple of options for you, books and record-wise. Again, your recommendations are more than welcome because, look, reflection can change your life, and it's hard work, but sometimes you just got to kick back and you got to let a book or some music do the work for you.